This video is a review of linear functions. First up, we're asked to graph the equation negative 4x minus 2y equals 8. And so the best way to graph it when it's in that form is to find the x and y intercepts. This form here is called standard form. And so what we're going to do is we're going to find out what happens when x is 0, and then find out what happens when y is 0. And so when x is 0, then we have the equation negative 2y equals 8. Dividing by negative 2, what we get out is that y is negative 4. This means we have the point 0, negative 4. That's our y-intercept. 0, negative 4. Next up, we're going to let y equal 0. And we'll have the equation negative 4x equals 8. And we'll divide by negative 4. And we'll have the fact that x must be equal to negative 2. So this tells me then that we get the point negative 2, 0, and that's our x-intercept. So we need a line that goes through those 2 points. It continues on. Yeah, let's do this instead. Sorry. Yeah, so it's hard to freehand draw, but we have a line that goes through those 2 points. Okay, great. Next up, what is the slope of the line that passes through the pair of points? So we have the equation for the slope, which is the change in y over change in x. That's us subtracting the y's in the numerator and subtracting the x's in the denominator. The key is to make sure you go in the same order. And so think of your first point as x1, y1. Think of your second point as x2, y2. Subtract the y's in the numerator. 3.1 minus 6.1. Subtract the x's in the denominator. Negative 2.5 minus negative 5.5. Okay, so we then must get a negative 3 for the numerator. This double negative here is tricky. Don't let it confuse you. That's going to be plus. And so we have a negative 2.5, and we add on 5.5. That's going to be a 3. Then finally, negative 3 divided by 3 is a negative 1. The slope of the line that goes through these 2 points is negative 1. Then we do it again for this other set of points. We take 1, take away 7, and divide that by 10, take away 1. The numerator is a negative 6. The denominator is a 9, but that can be reduced. You can factor out of 3 or divide out by 3. And when we do that, the numerator becomes negative 2 and the denominator becomes 3. And so that's the slope of that line. Negative 1 was the slope of the first one. So here's the formula that you need for that. Slope is change in y divided by change in x. It's your y subtraction divided by your x subtraction. what is the equation in slope-intercept form of the line that passes through these 2 points? So we go again, subtract the y's in the numerator. Careful, it's a double negative here for the y's. And subtract the x's in the denominator. So what we get out is that this double negative is going to be a plus, and we have a negative 10.5, and we're going to add on a 2.5. That's going to be a negative 8. In the denominator, we get a 2, and that reduces to be a negative 4. Your slope is negative 4. Write the equation in slope-intercept form. That's y equals mx plus b form. So if we have the m, we know that is 4. Then what we can do is take either of the 2 points, 6.6 negative 2.5 is a good one, and then this 6.6 will be your x, this negative 2.5 will be your y, and you plug them in, and it's your job then just to find out what b is. Negative 2.5 equals 4 times 6.6 plus the b. Okay. Don't have a calculator on me. Go old school. 6.6 times 4. 26.4. And then we subtract that over. We have negative 2.5 equals 26.4 plus the b. So we subtract over 26.4. If you have a negative 26.4 and you have a negative 2.5, together they give you a negative 28.9. That's what b is. And so you have your b, you have your m, just put them together. The answer to the question is y equals negative 4x minus 28.9. You put the m in and you put the b in, slope-intercept form. Write the slope-intercept form for the equation of the line, and all you're given is the graph of the line. And so what we're going to need then is to identify where it crosses the y-axis and then also identify the slope. And so we're going to assume that this guy crosses the y-axis at 1. That's called the y-intercept, and we call that b. To find the slope, what you have to do is find 2 corner points that the line goes through. It's hard to tell with a small grid like this, but I am going to say that this guy here is a grid point that it goes through. And so it's about the rise over run. The run is going to be as you go from left to right. And so what happens here is that we go from one point to the next, we go up 3 units, and then we go right 4 units. And so the slope then is going to be 3 over 4. Rise over run. We rise 3 and we run 4. So then in slope-intercept form, we put the m and the b in. We get 3/4 of x plus 1. For this next one, I'm going to make a guess here and say that y-intercept this time is about a half, and we call that b. Now, last time we were right on a grid point for our y-intercept. This is not. So we're looking for 2 grid points. Well, it's kind of hard to tell if it doesn't look like. So here's one. And then my next one that I see that is obvious to me is, yeah, I'm going to go with this one here. Find 2 corner points that you go through. And so the rise over run there is going to be that we go up 5 and we go over, is that 8? 4 and 4? Yeah, we go over 8. So we're going to say the slope is 5/8. And therefore we'd have 5/8 x plus a half. Okay. All right, great. Again, difference here is that these guys have negative slopes. We're going to go ahead and say that this guy has a y-intercept of -3. And that's going to be your beat. Right on the grid point. And then, yeah, it's kind of hard to tell. Let's go with this guy as another grid point. And then we go rise over run. This time we fall. We don't rise at all. We go down 2. And then we go over to the right 4. I guess I could have had a grid point closer because that slope is 2/4, which reduces to 1/2. So I could have used this grid point here. I didn't see it. Well, then you'll have y equals mx plus b, 1/2 x minus 3. The m, the x, and the b. And then one more. We're going to say that this crosses at a y-intercept of 1. That's going to be b. Grid points, yeah, maybe this guy here down. Yeah, we'll go with that. That guy being a grid point. It's kind of hard to eyeball, but we'll go with that. And now the rise over run there. We fall again. We go down 2. And then we go over 1, 2, 3. So the slope. Oh, I'm sorry. I should have put a negative on this. I'm so sorry. Sorry about that. When you go down, it's a negative slope. We go down 2 and over 3. Our slope is -2/3. So we have y equals -2/3 x plus 1. Yeah, definitely negative. Both these guys have negative slopes. All right, that's enough for now. We'll pick back up the next video.